What's up, guys? More Sports, Ichiban Marshall. Man, we made it the last long pick video of the year. As we have bowl games. Not the last pick video of the year. We still have the rest of the playoffs to predict. But these are the last games we will predict. At least the mass amount, if you know what I mean. Yeah, there's that. But we got a bunch of games to predict. We got Army, Navy, we got every bowl game. Yes, we'll be predicting the Celebration Bowl too. So we'll go back to the FCS. So yeah. Anyways, let's freaking back and do this. Let's start off with so we're gonna go in chronological order of how the games are going. So anyways, let's freaking back and do this. We got all these bowl games to predict. Yeah, anyways, I still think bowl season's cool to watch, even if most of the players opt out. So yeah. Guys, we got South Carolina State taking on Prairie A&M. As we have a Celebration Bowl. South Carolina State lost, I believe they lost on the Celebration Bowl last year to Jackson State. So they're looking to try to get revenge this year. And they're playing the team that beat Jackson State to make this bowl game. There's that Prairie A&M. I believe this is the first time they made the Celebration Bowl in a while. So good for them. I know they're right outside of Houston. So yeah, they're a Texas team. So yeah, but both these teams are very good. South Carolina State, their losses are to South Carolina, fair enough, South Florida, and Charleston Southern. While Brave A&M's losses are to UTRGV, a brand new team, Rice, and Alabama State. So this ought to be a good game. I think both these teams are decently equally matched. So yeah, I don't really watch FCS that much, but yeah. But I'm gonna go. What the heck? The app just closed out. That's weird. This never happened before in the video. But maybe it really doesn't want me to pick the game. I don't know. What the frick? Okay, there we go. I picked SC State. Only 33% go them as well, but it ought to be a good game. 7% go with the Panthers of Prairie View A&M. Yes, there's actually 3 A&Ms in Texas. There's Texas A&M, there's Prairie View A&M, and there's East Texas A&M. And if you want to include high school, there's also A&M Consolidated High School in College Station, which is ironically by Texas A&M. So yeah, there's a lot of A&M schools, that's for sure. Here's that. So it's not just Texas A&M. And yeah, FCS playoffs going on. I'd predict if I had more knowledge of the FCS, but maybe we'll predict the championship. We'll see. Yeah, but now let's move on to the next game of the day. We have the Army versus Navy, one of the most prestigious rivalries in all of sports, as both these teams always put on a great show. So it'd be very interesting to see, both in the same conference too. Yeah, this second year, these two are playing as the same conference. Yeah, Army, they've had a really, really weird season. They've been super inconsistent. Like, they'll lose to Tulsa, they'll beat ETS State, and they'll beat Air Force and Temple, then they'll lose the Tulane by like a score, and then they'll lose to Tarleton State, then they'll beat Kansas State. They've been extremely inconsistent this year. But Army is still eligible. So yeah, there's that. Through all of it, yeah. And Navy, on the other hand, they've been very good this year. They've only suffered 2 losses to two very good teams, North Texas and Notre Dame, who are 2 teams that nearly made the playoffs. So yeah, there's that. But they've been really good this year. They beat South Florida. They beat Memphis. They've been really good. So I'm going to take Navy to win this one. 76% go, so I think they'll extend their streak on this rivalry. And one of the most unique games because like they have so many different playbooks. Such different playbooks compared to everyone else in college football. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. We got Boise State taking on Washington. Boise State is 9-4 this year. They won the Mountain West. While they haven't been as good this year, they've still been a decent team this year. In all their losses, they scored 7 points each. So yeah, they lost to South Florida, Notre Dame, Fresno State, and South Dakota State. It's a very inconsistent offense. Yeah, there's that. But when you don't have GNT, it's a little hard, man. Taking on a Washington team has definitely been better than they were last year. They're 6-7 last year, and although they went undefeated at home last year somehow. Even though they had 6 wins last year. And they went 8-4 this year. They lost a few home games, but yeah. Granted, they're Oregon and Washington they lost to. Or not Oregon and Ohio State they lost to in those games. Those are 2 playoff teams, yeah. There's that, but Washington, I think they've been a much better team than they were last year. I'll take them to win this game. 64% got them as well. I know they're not back till 2023 heights, but I mean they're close. They're getting closer and closer each year, I guess. But yeah. Now we have Troy versus Jacksonville State. To be fair, Washington lost to pretty much everyone after that national championship. Yeah. Now we got Troy versus Jacksonville State. 2 conference runner-ups. As Troy lost to James Madison in the Sun Belt Championship, as they lost them 14-31, and JMU, of course, made the playoffs. So yeah, there's that. Then Jacksonville State, on the other hand, they've been a good team this year. They beat Kennesaw State earlier this season, and they lost to Kennesaw State. They've lost 2 last 3 games. So yeah, there's that. But this will be a good game. These are 2 conference runner-ups in the group of 5, so those are always interesting. But me personally, I'm going to go with Troy. 40% got them as well, but I think it'd be a good game. Now I got Old Dominion versus South Florida. This will be a great game. 2 very similar teams, 2 teams with playoff aspirations that unfortunately got wiped away by some in-conference stuff. I guess because some inconsistencies in conference. But Old Dominion's been very good this year. Of course, they smacked Virginia Tech, ending Brent Pryde's career there. They have 3 losses, which are to Marshall, James Madison, and who was the other loss to? Oh, it was to Indiana. They actually didn't play too bad against Indiana. I'll give them that. They only lost them by 13, which considers Indiana, it's actually not too bad. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, whatever. You could call it a tune-up game for Indiana, but still, it's worth mentioning. Yeah, but they've been a good team this year. If they didn't have those 2 games where they sold, then they could be in the playoff hunt. But they've still been very good this year. Definitely bounced back from last year. Last year didn't even make a bowl game. South Florida, on the other hand, they've been really good too. Alex Golesh has put together an amazing team this year. They put themselves in the map when they beat Florida on the road. So yeah, they lost 3 games, which were to Miami, Memphis, and Navy. But they've still been a very good team this year. I'd argue the Americans been better than the ACC this year. I mean, look, the freaking American champion beat the ACC champion, so there's all the proof you need there. In all seriousness, though, it's actually kind of close this year between those 2 conferences. Yeah, but South Florida, their best wins this year were against North Texas and Florida. So there's that. And Boise State was a good win, too. They crushed Boise State, too. Yeah, South Florida, they've been a great team this year. Overall, the thing that's scaring me about South Florida is they don't have Golesh there. But I still think they're going to win. 85% on as well. I don't know if I don't think it'd be lopsided by any means, but I think it'd be a good game. I think, I don't know if Alex Golesh is coaching, though. I don't think he is. Most coaches don't do that anyway. Why the freak is the video so low quality? So now we got Louisiana versus Delaware in the 68 Ventures Bowl. Louisiana, I mean, they've been much better lately. Like, they won their last 4 games, but granted, yeah. And they're actually against not terrible teams. Texas State and Arkansas State are the best team. Yeah, they're not great teams, but still, but Louisiana definitely got us better. What?
There's an article about Gasperson in this, and this is the other thing you like to look at the community stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Anything interesting in the community.
All right, sounds good. All right, anyways, Louisiana, they had a rough start to their season as they lost 6 of their first 8 games, but then they won the last 4, which is how they got bowl eligibility. Yeah, there's that. But Louisiana, they've been much better lately. I mean, they haven't been as good as they were last year, obviously. Sorry, I get distracted so easily. Yeah, Louisiana, they definitely got better as the season gone along. But yeah, they kind of reminded me of Baylor last year. Lost a bunch of games to start, and then they won all that at the end until they got beat by LSU. But go Tigers. Yeah, there's that. But Louisiana, we'll see what happens. They're taking on Delaware. Good for Delaware, man. Considering it's their first year in the FBS, they made a bowl game already. Credit to them. They've been great. They've been great for their first year. Well, I mean, 6-6 is 6-6. I mean, for a team that just joined the FBS, that's actually not a bad record to have. Yeah, there's that. And the Delaware, they've been good. They're best. They had that big win against UConn earlier this year. Yeah, they've been up and down this season, but they've been good. They've been a solid team for the most part. They've been inconsistent points, but yeah, their best win. So against UConn, FIU, and Louisiana Tech, and they scored 61 on UTEP. Good lord. Yeah, there's that. But overall, I'm gonna say Louisiana's been the hotter team lately, so I'm gonna take them. 47% going so. But credit to Delaware, they've been great in their first season considering the circumstances. Speaking of teams in their first year in the FBS, we got a new bowl game alert, the Xbox Bowl. Thursday, 8 p.m. at Fourth Center in Frisco, as Missouri State will be taking on Arkansas State. You know, Missouri State, they're in the exact same boat as Delaware. Credit to them, they've been great for their first year in the FBS. They've actually been even better. Like, they're 7-5, and considering like it's their first, they're even in like conference. Well, not really conference contention, but they're within range if they were in. There's obviously the eligibility bowl thing. Yeah, there's that. They had that bad loss to USC, but that was their first game in there. Then they beat Marshall. They actually didn't play too bad against SMU. They actually hosted SMU, which is kind of weird, but yeah. And they nearly beat Western Kentucky. Like they've beat some good teams like FIU. Liberty wasn't that good this year, but still. Missouri State, man, I'll tell you what. I know they lost their last 2 games, but they've been good this year. They're taking Arkansas State, who's 6-6. They're one of those teams who also got better as the season went along. CH won by Butch Jones out there with Tennessee. But they've lost 4 of their first 5, and then they won 5 of their last 7. So they've been good this year, like to end the season. I mean, they haven't been, and you know what? I'll give them credit. They almost beat Iowa State, and they nearly beat Kennesaw State too. And that's a really good Kennesaw State team. So yeah. But they've definitely gotten better as the season gone along. So yeah, but overall, I'm going to say Missouri State wins. It's 59% go them as well. I wish I could go to that game, but I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't think we'll be. Speaking of Kennesaw State, we got the MAC champ taking on the CSA champ. We got Kennesaw State taking on Western Michigan. Kennesaw State, you know what? What a turnaround for them this year. They went from one of the worst teams in the FBS, and they're a really dang good team, dude. 10-3. In her second win in the FBS, people said this team going to the FBS was a mistake. Kennesaw State's proven otherwise, man. Like, credit to them. Like, they were in the playoff talk at one point. Now, they weren't going to make it, but they were in the playoff talk, which is insane. Like, this team's been really good. What a story, man. Kennesaw State going from one of the worst teams in the FBS, and they've been great this year. Like, yeah, I lost it. Like, they've only, like, ever since they lost to Wake Forest, which they almost beat that team, by the way, and Indiana, they beat every opponent they've played since. Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville State, but then they beat them later on. So, Kennesaw State, one of the hottest teams out there. They've been so good this year, man. Credit to them. They turned it on their second year in the FBS. What a turnaround. Now they're taking on Western Michigan. This is the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Western Michigan, I mean, they've definitely been the best MAC team this year. Like, the MAC hasn't been that good this year, but they lost their first 3 games to Michigan State, North Texas, which they almost won that game, but they choked it away. Illinois, ever since they lost 1 game since that. They've only lost 1 game since after that Illinois game, which was the Miami, Ohio, who they got revenge on, by the way. So yeah, with very similar teams, I will say. But yeah, there's that. Overall, though, I'm going to say Kennesaw State wins. Only 41% go with them. We'll see. That'd be a good game. Yeah, that's Kennesaw State's first ever bowl game, and hopefully it's not. Well, and hopefully they do get in it. Yeah. Why is that a 10 a.m. start time? That doesn't make any sense at all, bro. Are you trying to kill people? some of these start times for the bowl games are terrible. Like 8:15 start time. We'll get to that later. Now we have the Gasparilla Bowl. Memphis versus North Carolina State. Memphis, they've definitely been one of the like colder teams lately. Like they lost their last 3 games to Tulane, East Carolina, and Navy. But they've been a good team this year. Like they beat South Florida, and they also beat earlier this season. They also beat that one team. They beat Arkansas. Now you could say Arkansas beat themselves, but they do that every week. But Memphis, they've been a good team this year. I know they kind of fell down the stretch, but like they've been a good team. Like their worst loss was the UAB, which is kind of random, but yeah. But they've been a good team this year. That's why forgot his name, but the Ryan Clark, I don't know what his name is. The Memphis coach is going to Arkansas. So yeah. And NC State, on the other hand, NC State, they're 7-5, better season than last year. They're usually kind of mid, I will admit. Like they've been okay this year. I mean, they've just been super inconsistent. Like, they can beat good teams. Like, they beat Virginia, which ironically did not count for their conference schedule because how things are. Eastern Carolina, Wake Forest. They also beat Georgia Tech. They also beat those 2 opponents, Florida State, North Carolina. Then they'll lose to, like, Virginia Tech, Duke, Pitt, Miami, and Notre Dame. Yeah, they've been extremely inconsistent this year. But honestly, I'm going to trust NC State this time. 59% go themselves. Just Memphis has been a really cool team lately. And since their coach is moving on, then, yeah, we'll see what happens. Now we got the playoffs. If y'all want to go see my playoff picks, go check out the video. Alabama, Oklahoma. I'm going to pick Oklahoma. 63% go them as well. If you want to see my playoff picks, like my whole analysis, go check out that video or the stream I was doing the other day. I'll say this. I trust Oklahoma. Texas A&M versus Miami. I'm going to say A&M in a close one. 6-7% go with them as well. Tulane and Ole Miss, a rematch, but I think even without Coach Kiffin, I think Ole Miss will win 79% go. So I do think it will be a closer game this time. JMU versus Oregon. I think Oregon's going to win by a decent amount. 79% go with them as well. But go watch my playoff pick videos. Yeah. I have no clue that game was on TNT. I forgot they broadcast games, the playoffs. Assume we'll get the same score bug in the Big 12, yeah, or we'll get the same one, from ESPN. Anyways, Wazoo versus Utah State. This is actually a future Pac-12 matchup right here. Washington State, they've been up and down this year. They've been inconsistent to say the least. Like they can compete with good teams. They've been inconsistent. Like they compete with good teams. They nearly beat Ole Miss of all teams. They almost beat Virginia. They also lost to Oregon State, really, but then they beat them after. And then they nearly beat James Madison, so they nearly beat 2 playoff teams and a borderline playoff team in Virginia. And, of course, they got crushed by North Texas and Washington, but North Texas and Washington were good teams, and North Texas is a really good team. Really made the playoffs, yeah, but they've been extremely inconsistent, but we'll see how it goes in this bowl game. Utah State, on the other hand, they've been inconsistent too. Win, loss, win, and yeah, these very similar stories for both these teams. Yeah, but overall, I'll say Wazoo wins. 43% on them as well. We'll see what happens. What day is that bowl game? Okay. Anyways, Toledo versus Louisville. Toledo really, really flashes when they're playing against in their bowl game. Like last year, they beat Pitt when they were playing Power 4 opponents in their bowl game. Based on last year, I'll be honest, they won that game like 3 times, to be honest with you, with how much stuff. Like, oh, they won. Oh, wait, never mind. Oh, wait, they won. Never mind. Oh, wait, they won. Oh, they actually won this time. Let's go. So yeah, they've been a pretty good team this year. Jason Candle is going to UConn, so I don't think he'll be coaching this game. Yeah, they're usually one of the pretty good team in the MAC. They've been They're 8-4 this year. Their losses are to Kentucky and Western Michigan, the MAC champ, Bowling Green, and Wazoo. I mean, their best win probably stays Western Kentucky. One of their best wins, at least. Yeah, is their best win, I will say. There's that, but they've been pretty good this year. Taking on Louisville team who they beat Miami, but then they lost 3 games in a row, and that's what ended their season. To Cal, Clemson, and SMU. But then they shut out Kentucky, so what do I know? Give me Louisville. 86% go with them as well. Who knows what Toledo, man? I'll tell you what. I will say, Toledo, I thought they would be better this year, but they've still been pretty good. Now I got Western Kentucky taking on Southern Mississippi in the New Orleans Bowl. Usually one of the better Group of 5 bowls. Western Kentucky, they've been good this year. I mean, this team nearly beat LSU in the road, so on the road, so I'll give them credit for that. They lost to Toledo, LSU, Jacksonville State, FIU. Yeah, but their best win this year, I'd probably say, is against dun 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 dun. I have no clue, actually. Probably Louisiana Attack. Yeah, there's that. They're taking on Southern Miss. Charles Huff's really turned that team around. I know they lost the last 3 games, but Charles Huff really turned that team around. And that team was terrible last year. Now they're actually a decent team. Yeah, they kind of fell off in the season, but they've still been a good team. Overall, I will say, Western Kentucky, I think, will win this game. 70% goes on. I trust Tyson Hilton's squad. So, yeah. Now, 8 p.m. start time in the Frisco Bowl, at the exact same location as the Xbox Bowl. Xbox Bowl is replacement for the Bahamas Bowl in Nassau. So I believe that same's going through renovations, from what I can tell. Yeah. And then the Frisco Bowl is moved to the Star this year because Toyota Stadium, where it usually is under renovation right now. Yeah. But now we have UNLV versus Ohio. You got the Mount West runner-up taking on one of the better teams in the MAC. But UNLV, they've been a good team this year. Their losses are to Boise. They can't beat Boise State. I don't know why. It's weird. They can't beat Boise State for crap. It's insane. And then they lost to New Mexico. Dan Mullen's first year at the squad. They still been a good team this year, man. I'll tell you what. The fact he kept that team going, I'll give him credit for credit's due. Ohio, on the other hand, they did good. I mean, they did good in Power 4 play. Like, yeah, Ohio State game wasn't great, but I mean, it could have been worse. I'll be honest with you. You scored the same amount of points as Michigan did, and that was when they were on the road and compared to Michigan at home. They almost beat Rutgers, but then they also beat West Virginia. So there's that. Ohio's been a pretty good team this year. Overall, I will say UNLV wins. 78% got them as well. Seriously, why did the score notification still ring through my phone? Now I got Cal versus Hawaii. What? I'm sorry. I know there's an agreement, but Hawaii should not be playing a bowl game in their own stadium. That's just foul, bro. But good for Hawaii. They've been up and down. I mean, inconsistent. They'll beat Minnesota, then they'll get shut out by San Diego State. And Hawaii beat San Diego State. Here's that. But Cal, they've been inconsistent. They beat Louisville and SMU, but they lost to Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Stanford. So you never know with this team. That's why Jason Eckhoff fired, because you never know what he's going to do. Yeah, Hawaii, on the other hand, they're their best season in a while. 8-4. It's awesome to see them back in the postseason, even if they're basically cheating. This team crushed San Diego State. So yeah, but overall, I'm actually going to say Hawaii wins. 64% go as well. Cal couldn't score a single point in San Diego State. Hawaii beat the crap out of San Diego State. Plus, Hawaii is at home, so I'll take Hawaii. 64% go with them as well. But it could be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. Now, we got Friday. I think that's Friday. We got the Game Above Sports Bowl. This was a classic last year, by the way. Central Michigan, Northwestern taking on each other. Central Michigan, they've been decent this year. 7-5. I mean, they're one of the better MAC teams. I mean, the MAC's very. The MAC has been not good. MAC, I think, has been the worst conference this year. But yeah, but they've been better as season gone along. I mean, they lost to Toledo. Yeah, their losses are Toledo, Western Michigan, Akron, which is kind of weird. Pitt and Michigan, but they've been a good team. Still, they're taking on Northwestern. Northwestern, I mean, they're Northwestern. Preston Stone has been very inconsistent. I mean, getting credit them for making the postseason again, especially since they don't have a stadium right now. But yeah, they've been pretty good. They've been decent at points this year. Like they beat Minnesota. They didn't really beat Michigan. There's that. But yeah, they've been better this year. I'll take Northwestern to win 81% of them as well. They're actually 10.5 point favorites, yeah. But who knows with that game? I'll tell you what. That's usually a great game. Anyways, New Mexico versus Minnesota. Very interesting bowl game combo, but usually it's a Big 12 team. Yeah, but they put Mountain West team in here, which I think is actually kind of fair. Yeah, New Mexico. They have a good team. What a turnaround, man. They've been really good this year. 9-3. They crushed UCLA on the road, and they didn't do too bad against Michigan, I will say. They had 2 losses against San Jose State and Boise State, which kind of ended their chances at a playoff bid. But they won out for the rest. They won out, including against like UNLV and San Diego State. Jason Ekman, he's turned that team around this year. So credit to him, what credit to do. They're taking on Minnesota. Minnesota's Minnesota. They're 7-5 every year. They've been good at points this year, but they'll always fold against like the actual really good teams like Oregon, Iowa, and Ohio State. But I mean, they're usually like reliable and like giving you a decent season. So 7-5 or 5-7. There's no way around it. Yeah, overall, I'm actually gonna say New Mexico wins this game. Only 30% goes solid. I think it'll be a good game though. I think it'll be a close game. These really good group of 5 teams taking on like decent Power 4 teams. I think it's very interesting to see usually. Yeah, there's that. Anyways, moving on. 7 p.m. we have Florida National taking on UTSA. 2 inconsistent teams. Florida, FIU, man, they've been much better this year. 7-5. They didn't lose to FCS Monmouth this time. Granted, FCS Monmouth was the only team that Charlotte beat all year. Yeah, they've been good this year. They've been inconsistent. Like they lost to Penn State by like a lot. They also got blown up by Delaware and UConn. They also got blown by Kansas State. They almost beat Missouri State, but they've had some good wins. Like the best wins are against they beat Bethune Cookman FAU to start the season, and then they beat Western Kentucky, blew them out too. Middle Tennessee State, Liberty, Jacksonville State. That's a really good one on their resume. And Sam Houston State, they blew them out. They've been really inconsistent this year. But there's that. They're taking on UTSA, and UTSA they've been inconsistent too. Like they beat up Tulane and Eastern Carolina, but then they also lost to UNT by a lot in Army and South Florida and Texas State and Temple and Texas A&M. Yeah, they don't look too bad in an A&M game though, considering the circumstances. And so this will be a good game. I believe this is the SMU stadium. So yeah, but the UTSA people are playing the game. That's good. Give me UTSA 6-7% as well. That'd be a close game. I just trust the American strength over the CUSA strength. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. 8-15. Oh my god. Why the frick are these bowl games so early, bro? Oh, really early or really late? There's no in between. We got Pitt versus Eastern Carolina. Pitt last year in their bowl game was an insane one, probably the best bowl game in the postseason last year. Some of the bowl games last year were insanely good. Pitt's been good this year. They've lost some. They lost to West Virginia. That was kind of random. That was Rich Rod's revenge game. They also lost to Louisville. But then that game go overtime. I don't know. No, they didn't go overtime, but close enough. They also lost to Notre Dame, Miami. They also beat like Georgia Tech and Florida State. Yeah, but Punt Narduzzi does not care about conference games apparently. So yeah, but this is the bowl games. Eastern Carolina, on the other hand, they've been good. I mean, 8-4. I pretty much what I expected from them this year. They've been a good team this year. I knew they'd be one of the better teams in this conference. They lost to NC State. That was a revenge game for NC State. They also lost to BYU. They, not a terrible loss, though. They lost to Tulane, close game. They also lost to UTSA. Their best wins are against Memphis and Army, I guess. Yeah. They've been a good team this year. Overall, though, I will take Pitt to win this game. 76% got them as well. Now we got, oh my God. We got Penn State versus Clemson. This matchup at the preseason looked like a potential national championship right here. This looks like a potential playoff match. What happens to these teams? They played each other, but they're both playing each other because they're both huge disappointments this year. Penn State, they're lucky to make a bowl in the first place. Like, they're looking terrible, and then they finally won a few games. So yeah, there's that. But huge disappointment for Penn State. They're at one point projected number 1 in the country by some people. So yeah, there's that. Clemson, on the other hand, there's also one that was number 1 in the country for some people. But then they weren't as bad. But like, they weren't great. We should have all seen after that LSU loss, because LSU was not that good of a team. Yeah, overall, though, I'm going to say Clemson wins. 58% of them was like, what a matchup, though. They did that clearly to flex on them. Hey, you get to play Clemson, but you're both not good. You're both not that good. Hold on. Okay. Now I got Connecticut and UConn and Army in the Fenway Bowl. I'm surprised they put UConn against a Power 4 opponent, but what do I know? UConn is one of their best seasons in recent memory. So they've been really good this year. Their only 3 losses all come to in overtime against Rice, Delaware, and Syracuse. Yeah, they're not very good opponents. Yeah, opponents they lost to weren't very good, but they beat the ACC champion in Duke. Yes, I'm going to say that as many times as I want. ACC champion Duke. And yeah, they also beat Boston College. They beat them up pretty well, we'll say. Wasn't a blowout by any means, but yeah. But yeah, they've been a good team this year. I'll tell you what. They've been a weird team, but yeah. They're taking an Army. Very inconsistent team. We'll see how. I assume they'll be 6-6 at this game. But yeah, but they've been inconsistent, like I said. I'll take UConn to win. 57% of them as well. Who knows? If this game's in overtime, UConn's losing, though. Because UConn's not good in overtime. Anyways, Georgia Tech and BYU. Georgia Tech's been good this year. This is the Pop-Tarts Bowl, by the way. Probably my favorite non-playoff postseason game at this point. Yeah. Non-playoff bowl game, yeah. Georgia Tech, they've been one of their best years lately, as they've been really good this year. Their 3 losses come to an inconsistent NC State team, an inconsistent Pitt team in Georgia, which didn't look terrible in that game. Their offense didn't look great, but yeah. But they've been a much better team than in the past. So there's that. Brent Key has really put that team in a much better place than they were. So there's that. BYU, on the other hand, they've been really good this year. Their 2 losses are both blowout losses to Texas Tech. Yeah, they've been really good this year. You could argue they should make the playoffs, but yeah, there's that. But this is like the best. This is the second best option outside the playoffs. Who I think will win? I think BYU will win. 65% got them as well. I think they'll take their anger from that game against Texas Tech and they'll put it in here. So now we got the Snoop Dogg Bowl, one of my favorite bowls, between Miami, Ohio, and Fresno State. Miami, they've been good this year. I'm kidding. Miami, they've been okay this year. They made the MAC. You know, they've been decent this year. They made the MAC championship as a 7-5 teams. Yeah. They lost the MAC championship. It was a revenge game for Western Michigan, to be fair. They also had a slow start. They lost their first 3 games to Wisconsin. Shut by Wisconsin. They also lost to Rutgers and close one to UNLV. Then they won a bunch of games after that. They lost to Ohio and Toledo, but they've been a good team this year, and they definitely got better as the season gone along. Yeah, Fresno usually around that record anyway. Yeah. Fresno State, on the other hand, they've been a good team this year. I mean, after that Kansas game, I was like, oh, but they've gotten better as the season went along. They beat a bunch of teams. Their losses with the Colorado State ones kind of ran. They've been inconsistent at points, but yeah. Like they barely beat Nevada and Hawaii. Hawaii's a good team, actually. Nevada's not that good. But then they got shut out by San Diego State, but then they beat the crap out of Boise State. Yeah, and then they lost to Utah State. They also beat Wyoming and San Diego Jose State. But yeah, who I think's going to win this game? I'm going to say Fresno State. They have more resting time anyway. 84% of them, so I think they'll win over the MAC runner-ups. Now we got two really good group of one of the more intriguing group of 5 bowl games. We have North Texas taking on San Diego State. North Texas, they've been really good this year. 11-2. That their best season to date, I believe. They lost the American to Tulane, but nonetheless, still an amazing season. North Texas were really good. The 2 losses come to Tulane and their game that I went to against USF, or just against South Florida. I was at that game. They looked great in the first half, and then they kind of let the game get away from them. But yeah, there's that. That was actually the first ever sellout UNT ever had. Yeah, they're taking on San Diego State. They've been really good this year. They had that game where they shut out Cal, which was insane. They lost to Washington State, Hawaii, New Mexico. They got blown out by Hawaii. Yeah, it's on the road, but still. Or on the ocean, yeah. Anyways, I know they don't have their coach. I know Eric Morris probably is not going to coach this game. I'm going to go North Texas, though. 76% go with them as well. So, yeah. Now we got the next bowl game, which is against Virginia versus Darth Miz. If you watch SEC Roll Call, you know what I'm referencing. Virginia, this is one of their best seasons in a long time. Like, they're really good. Yeah, they've been very fluky this year, but they've been a really good team. Their losses come to NC State, which that game didn't actually count as a conference game, ironically. Wake Forest and close one to Duke, which they beat Duke earlier this year, but of course Duke beat them when it matters the most. Yeah, so they've been a great team this year. Tony Elliott's for sure redeemed himself this year. So yeah, there's that. They're taking on, and by the way, Virginia had won 3 games to overtime, about four of their games went to overtime this year. They're 3-1 overtime games. Of course, they lost that game against Duke, which was in overtime. But yeah, there's that. They're taking on Missouri, and Missouri, they've been good this year. I mean, I'd argue they're a better team than last year. The record doesn't really show, but they've played better. They beat, they almost beat Alabama. They nearly beat Vandy. So yeah, but they lost to A&M and Oklahoma as well. But yeah, there's that. To be fair, all 4 of the losses were the 4 playoff caliber teams. Yes, Vanderbilt probably should be in the playoffs, in my opinion. But there's just so many good teams this year. Yes, they've been a good team this year. Overall, though, I'm actually taking Missouri to win. 7% go with them as well. Now we have my bowl game. LSU, once again, in the Texas Bowl. They're playing Houston this time, though. As LSU will be taking on Houston in the Texas Bowl. LSU, their offense has just been the death of them this year. They've won only 3 of their last 7 games, I believe. 3 of the last 8. Pretty sure. Yeah, they won 3 of their last. They lost 5 of their last 8 games, which is insane. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Granted, all good teams, but still. They can give teams a run for their money, but their offense is such a disaster. They can't do anything about it. Yeah. And they're taking on Houston. This is literally a home game for Houston at this point. It's not in their stadium, but it's in their city. Houston's been a good team this year. What a turnaround for them this year. They were not very good last year. But that was to be fair, that was Willie Fritz's first year with that organization. But they turned it up this year. They beat Arizona State and all that. Their 3 losses come to Texas Tech, West Virginia, and TCU. So, of course, they lost 2 of the last 4 games. But they've been a good team this year. They played some of their opponents close, but they've been good this year. Yeah, but overall, though, LSU's offense is such a disaster. I trust Big 12 offense. Give me Houston. 60% going. So I hate to pick against LSU, but yeah. And here's what's funny about this game. LSU and Houston are actually supposed to play each other in 2027 in NRG Stadium in Houston. And where they play each other? What's this bowl game? LSU Houston played in Houston at NRG Stadium. So literally, this is like a preview of what's going to happen in 2027. So yeah, but yeah, these two teams will be facing off against each other in 2 years from now. So yeah, actually technically less than 2 years from now. But yeah, I believe they're opening up the 2027 season against each other. It's technically a neutral game, but yeah. So I'm kind of surprised they made that the bowl game. But hey, I'll take it. Anyways, moving on. Anyways, moving on as we have the next set of bowl games after Saturday. Here's the Monday game, and here's the bowl game. Apparently, no one wants to participate. Here's the bowl game. Apparently, no one wants to participate in, as we have a rematch between Georgia Southern and App State. Two in-conference opponents are in a bowl game with each other. This happened last year with BYU and Colorado, but that's because Pac-12 stuff. They couldn't. Apparently, 7 teams rejected a bowl bid to this bowl. Yeah. But what's weird is this is usually ACC versus SEC game, but there's not enough teams from the SEC this year to be in this game. So yeah. Georgia Southern, they've been okay, I guess, this year, like 6-6. Like they lost a bunch of games this year. They also won a few games. Like their best wins, they actually beat Jacksonville State. That's probably their best win this year. That's actually good one considering how good Jacksonville State was this year. But yeah, they lost a bunch of games to like the Fresno State, USC, and all that. They also lost a few games. But yeah, with Georgia Southern, I mean they've been, yeah. But they're taking but they ironically one of the teams they beat was Appalachian State. So yeah, who are they taking on? They're playing Appalachian State. Appalachian State gets revived from bowl ineligibility as they are 5-7. They were next on the list after I think it was like Baylor, Rutgers, Kansas, Florida State. Originally Temple's on the list, but apparently it's actually not true. They said they didn't actually reject it, so they were going to get they were potentially looking into it. But yeah, App State responded first. Something like that. But yeah, App State. They're 5-7. I mean, they're lucky to be even in this bowl game. Lost a bunch of games. Their best win this year. I mean, you beat some of the worst teams in the FBS. 3 of your wins are against some of the worst teams in the FBS. You beat the worst team in the American, the worst team in the Pac-12, which they're 2-10 this year, and you beat the worst team in the Sun Belt. So, yeah, but they almost beat Georgia Southern. Their best win, I guess, against Marshall, and they also beat Lindenwood. But they finally changed it from JC. But yeah. But I think App State will actually get revenge. Give me App State. 52% of those. I think the reason, they're lucky that App State was on the list because it's Georgia Southern and App State. It's actually a really heated rivalry. So that's part of the reason why App State accepted it in the first place. They want to get their revenge. So it's deeper than hate is what the rivalry is called. That'd be a great game, honestly. I'm intrigued. The game no one wanted to play. It's the Birmingham Bowl. It's not even a bad bowl game. Usually we're like decent. It's just where SEC and ACC teams go, but yeah. Anyways, Independence Bowl. We got Coastal Carolina taking on Louisiana Tech. Isn't this basically kind of like a home game for Louisiana Tech? Yeah, they're in Shreveport. That's close enough to Ruston. Who I know. It's not like Houston playing Energy Stadium, but still. Coastal Carolina, they've been up and down this year. Like their offense was super inconsistent. Like they were terrible. Their offense was not very good to start. They got better as the season went on, but then they kind of folded down the stretch. They also have Virginia. Virginia's a great team though this year. They shut out Charleston Southern 13-0. Then they get shut out the very next week against Eastern Carolina 3-0. So they've been inconsistent this year. They definitely got better as the season went along. Then they kind of fell off again. But yeah, there's that. They're taking on Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech, they're 7-5. I mean, they've actually been a better team this year. They've actually been a decent team. Like they give LSU a decent run for their money. They didn't really stand a chance in that game, to be fair. Yeah, their best win comes against. I'd say Southern Miss is probably their best win. Yeah, there's that. They almost beat Delaware. They almost beat West Carolina. They lost to Wazoo 20-3. They lost 2 games by 1 point each. So yeah, and they lost to Kennesaw State. Double up with Kennesaw State. Yeah, it was a standalone game. Apparently, but yeah. Overall, the Louisiana Tech's been a decent team this year. They've been up and down, but I'll take La Tech. Oh, frick, sorry. 80% go with them as well. That's accurate. Now we got by the way, the Texas Bowl start time's a terrible start time. 8:15. It's in Houston, bro. I have to watch till midnight. Like, come on, bro. Like, I would be betted before that game ends, but yeah. Tennessee versus Illinois. 2 8-4 teams that had high. I mean, Tennessee, I guess, didn't have. Tennessee had expectations, but I didn't see. But yeah, 8-4 seems about where they should be this year, considering they lost a lot of people. Illinois, though, I will say I thought they'd be better, but I thought they'd be like 9-3, but they went 8-4. But yeah, Tennessee, I mean, they've been good, but like they didn't really beat any very good. They didn't beat any great opponents this year. Like the best team they beat was, I don't know, like Mississippi State was their best team. Like, what's insane is all the teams they beat didn't even make a bowl game. Well, Mississippi State technically made a bowl game, but that's because they got revived from bowl ineligibility because it was Kansas State, Iowa State, and Notre Dame opted out. But yeah, but Tennessee lost. They nearly beat Georgia. I'll give them credit for that. They almost beat Oklahoma. They lost Alabama. They also lost to Vanderbilt, too. Yeah, Tennessee, they didn't really beat any good teams this year, though. That's the thing. They barely beat Mississippi State. So did Texas. They barely beat Mississippi State. Illinois, on the other hand, they've been good this year, but they didn't really beat any good teams this year either. Well, actually, they beat USC. That's their best win this year. USC was actually a good team this year. But their losses were not very good at all. Like, they got brutalized by Indiana. Let them score 63 points on them, which was insane, bruh. Lost to Ohio State, lost to Washington, and you also lost to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not a very good team. But yeah, there's that. Anyways, I'll take Illinois. Actually, no, I'm not taking Illinois. I'll take Tennessee to win. 72% go with them as well. I trust them. I trust the mid-tier SEC over the mid-tier Big Ten teams. Yeah. TI. Now we got the Alamo Bowl as we have USC versus TCU. I'm gonna take the over on this game because I think both these teams are this could be a shootout. Like this is gonna be like one of those games. Who can out offense the other? About another bad start time, 8 p.m., bro. Like it's San Antonio. Why is that such a late start time, bro? Like, come on. USC, they've been much better team than they were last year. I thought they were playoff hopeful. Then they lost to Oregon. Their 3 losses come to Illinois, Notre Dame, and Oregon. So they've definitely not been great on the road this year. But like their best wins comes against Michigan and Iowa. Yeah. They've been a good team this year. They put 73 on Missouri State. So there's that. TCU, on the other hand, they've been pretty good this year. About the same as they were last year. As they're starting to become A&M. As they're apparently now they're going 8-4 every year. So I guess the only one in Texas is an 8-4 streak. But yeah, they've been good. I mean, their best win this year comes probably against Houston. Of course, they smashed North Carolina at the start of the season. North Carolina was not a very good team, though, to be fair. They lost to Arizona State, who just be in and out of the rankings every week. A very inconsistent Kansas State team. They lost to Iowa State, and they also got crushed by BYU. But they've been a good team for the most part this year. As their defense has been shaky at points, but they've been a good team this year. But yeah, overall though, I think USC is going to win. 71% goal as well. It'll be decent. It'll be a good game though. I think this could be a really good game considering how high power both these offenses are. Although TCU's offense can be inconsistent sometimes, but yeah, I'll take USC though. 71% got them as well. And for those of y'all calling it a home game for TCU, kind of is, but like it's 4 hours away. Like I've taken that drive we used to go from where my high school to San Antonio to literally to the Alamo Dome. We go through Fort Worth, which is where TCU is located, and that's they're not very close to each other. So I mean, it's not really much of a home field advantage for them. I mean, it's not. I guess it's kind of, but like it's not very. It's still 4 hours away. Anyways, ReliaQuest Bowl, as we have Iowa versus Vanderbilt. As Iowa, they've been good this year. 8-4 is about where they usually are. Like they might as well be the new A&M, or I guess the new TCU at this point, because apparently TCU is the one going 8-4 this now in Texas. But yeah. But Iowa, they've been bit this year. Their losses come against USC, Oregon, Iowa State, and who's the other loss against? Indiana. They actually didn't play too bad again. They actually played pretty close to Indiana, as but all their losses were by one score. So that's definitely one thing to note. Yeah, their offense actually got much better. Like they shut out Wisconsin. It's 37-0. But yeah, their offense, they've been inconsistent at points this year. Yeah. But I mean, there's that. They're taking on Vanderbilt. Every other year they'd be a playoff team, but Vanderbilt, they've been really good this year. Their best season known to man at this point. I mean, they've been really good. Their only two losses come to Texas and Alabama, both on the road. Alabama's looking for revenge in that game. And Texas, they're really good at home. Yeah, they beat like LSU, Missouri, Tennessee, and all that. They've been really good this year. Like, of course, they beat up South Carolina, and Virginia Tech. They made that big comebacks. Yeah, Vanderbilt, they've been a really good team this year, man. It's such an amazing story to see. I think Pavia deserves a lot of credit. Like, this man is part of the reason why Vanderbilt's so good. But yeah, I'm going to take Vanderbilt to win. 74% thinking of them as well. Listen, I know they're not in the playoffs, but Vanderbilt should still be very proud of what they put on the field this year. I mean, considering how bad they've been. Yeah.
What you doing?
Chilling. Getting the package.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh.
What's all on the real package sitting on the couch watching TV?
Right. All right. Moving on. All right. Let's do this. So I gotta get a package, and I can't stop the recording on here for some reason. Arizona State. I can't pause real quick. Arizona State versus Duke in the Sun Bowl. Arizona State, while they weren't as good as they were last year, still a pretty good team this year. They're in and out of the rankings all year. Their losses come to Mississippi State, which I guess was a revenge game for Mississippi State. They got crushed by Utah, and they also lost to Houston and Arizona. Their injuries have really plagued them at points this year. So yeah, there's that. But they're taking on Duke, who just won the ACC. So they've been, as Duke, yes, they are 7-5 team. They won the ACC. I guess they're 8-5 now. But yeah, but they've been bad out of conference this year. But in conference, they've been really good. Their only two losses come to Georgia Tech and Virginia. And then they beat Virginia in the ACC championship. So they're really peaking at the right time, I will say. Yeah, there's that. But Duke, they're peaking at the right time. You know what? I'm going to say Duke wins this game. I think they ride high off their momentum. 55% got them as well. I think they'll win the Gary Danielson Bowl. Yeah, so that might be Gary Danielson's final game. You know, I'm pretty sure he's retiring after this year. Yeah. Now we got Michigan versus Texas. Literally, these two teams played each other last year, and they're playing each other again. Like, I think 2027. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Michigan. Let's just talk about their season first, and then we'll get to the drama. Michigan, they've been good this year. Better team than they were last year. They lost to Oklahoma, USC, and State. Two of the 3 are playoff teams. They're best, but I will say they didn't really beat anyone. Their best win is against Washington. New Mexico's actually a good win. Looking back on it, but they nearly lost to Purdue, Northwestern. They've been fluky at points this year. But yeah, obviously, Sherrone Moore got in huge trouble for having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, and he even got arrested for it. So yeah, so Sherrone Moore is looking for an excuse to get out of jail now, while Michigan's looking for a new coach. So very sudden turn of events. So yeah, very disturbing stuff. But yeah. As they're taking on Texas. Texas, they've definitely been a weird team this year. They're great at home. Like, they beat Oklahoma and A&M. Their 3 losses come to Ohio State on the road, Florida on the road, and of course also Georgia. 2 of the 3 are playoff teams. Yeah, people said Texas lost because they scheduled Ohio State. No, Texas didn't make the playoffs because they played Ohio State. No, they didn't make the playoffs because they lost to Florida. And Florida's terrible this year. But yeah, they definitely been much better at home. Like they beat Vanderbilt as well. Yeah, but then they also barely beat Kentucky. They beat them overtime, and they barely beat Mississippi State. But they did not clutch up in overtime. They wouldn't have even won that game. Yeah, but Mississippi State choked artists in that game. So yeah. Overall though, Texas, I will take the overallness considering the Michigan drama. I'll take Texas though. 66% go with them as well. I don't think this will be a super high scoring game. That high scoring of a game, but yeah. 24 touchdowns and 7 receptions. Dang. Bryce Underwood. Oh man. It's 6 and 9. Nice. Got 6 and 9 versus 24-7. That's what you get for leaving LSU. Anyways, yeah. For decommitting from LSU. Anyways, moving on. We got Nebraska versus Utah. Nebraska is 7-5. I mean, they've been better and better each year under Matt Rule. Injuries have plagued them, like with Riola being out, so that's why they lost their last 2 games. But there's that. They've been a good team this year, for the most part. Like, they're ranked at one point, like they usually are. Their best win, they didn't really beat anyone that good this year. Their best win, well, actually, they beat Cincinnati. They're actually a pretty good team this year, even though they choked down the stretch. But Cincinnati is definitely their best win this year. Yeah, there's that there. Their 1-score curse lives on over the last 2 games, not so much. That's just curse straight up. So it was 2 games by 1 score. They lost to Michigan and USC by 1 score. Yeah, there's that. They're taking on Utah. Very weird combo of teams, by the way, but that's pretty bound for us. So they're taking on Utah and a sudden change of events. Kyle Whittingham is stepping down from head coach after 21 seasons. So definitely a turn of events there, but he will be coaching in the Las Vegas Bowl. So Utah, they're actually 16.5-point favorite. Good Lord. Why they schedule these 2 teams together? They should have made Nebraska play a group of 5 team. Utah playing I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the Alma Bowl, although TCU, I think, actually. TCU, not UCLA. USC would be a good game, but yeah, Utah. I thought Utah and USC would be the Alamo Bowl, but yeah, Utah. I think Kyle Whittingham, with him coaching still in his final game as Utah's head coach, I think they'll be playing with a bit of basically like a closing out, a way to close his career at Utah. They lost to Texas Tech and BYU. They're the only 2 teams they lost to. Granted, they're the 2 best teams in the Big 12. So yeah, I'm going to take Utah. 78% go with them as well. Another one of those 10-2 teams that are really good this year that did not quite make it all the way. Now I got TBD versus Ohio State. Can't make picks for this game yet because I don't know who's playing this game. I will be at the Cotton Bowl though, so if y'all see me there, feel free to say hi. And this game I can't pick because Texas Tech does not know who they're playing yet. And then Indiana doesn't know who they're playing yet in the Rose Bowl. And then Sugar Bowl, Georgia has no clue who they're playing yet. But yeah, we'll predict those games when they come. Yeah, when they're determined. Yeah. Anyways, Rice versus Texas State in the Armed Forces Bowl. This game is at TCU Stadium, so there's that. So you have one at SCU, one at TCU. So there's a lot of DFW bowls this year. You got this one, First Responder, Frisco Bowl, Xbox Bowl, Cotton Bowl, obviously. You got a lot of DFW bowl games. They should host the bowl game at the old Ranger Stadium, at Choctaw Stadium. That'd be a great place for a bowl game. I know part of the stadium looks abandoned, but still. They play high school games there still. Yeah. Anyways, Rice, they're 5-7 this year. They're one of those games that got revived from not making a bowl game. And honestly, the fact Rice made a bowl game, good for them. I mean, I know they didn't necessarily earn that bowl game because they went 5-7, but credit to them. I mean, they have not been great the last few years. They've really not been great at all the last few years, but they're getting better. I mean, the better team they were last year, 5-7. I mean, they beat Louisiana to start the season, but I mean the American was so tough this year. They lost to Houston. Their best win was probably They actually beat UConn overtime. That was their best win this year. Granted, UConn overtime completely dies, but still. Rice, I mean, who knows? They're taking on Texas State. Texas State, they've been okay this year. I thought they'd be better this year. This is their last game as a Sun Belt team. They won 3 of their first 4 games, and they lost 5 of their last They won 5 in a row. But they've won their last 3 games. So they've been up and down and up. So yeah, I think Texas State will win though. 87% go though. So this ought to be a close game though. I'll take the under on this one. Or not the under actually, not the under necessarily. Not the under, but I think Rice will beat the spread. Yeah. But Texas team versus Texas team at a Texas stadium. Yeah. That's on Friday. Maybe I'll go to that game. I don't know. If I can drive to Fort Worth. Just because it's nearby. Now we got the Liberty Bowl featuring Navy and Cincinnati. Navy's been a good team this year. I think they've been. I think they'll beat the Army in their bowl game. Not their bowl game. Their game against their game against Army. Yeah, but they've been really good this year. They only two. I said earlier. They only 2 losses in North Texas and Notre Dame. Yeah. Cincinnati, on the other hand, they've been really good, but then they kind of fooled down the stretch, so they ended up being 7-5. But like their best win this year came against Iowa State. And then they kind of folded as they lost their last 4 to Utah, Arizona, BYU, and TCU. So there's that. But they're taking on Navy. I think they have a decent shot win this game. But overall, Cincinnati's been so down. They remind me of Pitt last year. I'm going to take Navy. 72% of them. So this means we'll get like an 8 overtime game like last year for Pitt versus Toledo. Yeah. I think it was 8 overtimes, but yeah. Here we got the Holiday Bowl featuring Arizona and SMU. SMU, who almost made the playoffs again this year, but then they lost to Cal. So yeah, Arizona, what a bounce back season this man. They're one of the most underrated teams this year. They're 9-3. They're really good. The only 2 losses kind of Iowa State, BYU, and Houston. They all came earlier in the season though. They won their last 5 games. Since their second bye, they beat Colorado, Kansas, Cincinnati, Baylor, and Arizona State. I think they lost Arizona State like 63-7 last year, something insane like that. But yeah, but Arizona much better team this year, man. Even without McMillan, man. I mean, ironically, they're better without McMillan. But Arizona, they've been really good this year. I think Brett Brennan's for sure finally got his feet under them. Well, feet, that sounds weird. I think he's finally got some momentum with Arizona now. But yeah, they're taking on SMU. They're SMU. I mean, they've been inconsistent. They've been good for the most part. They lost 2 out of conference games to Baylor and TCU, so they can lose. So yeah, there's that. Their defense can't sacrifice a lot of points. But yeah, their other losses came to Wake Forest and Cal conference play. Yeah, their best win was but they beat Miami. That's their best. That's definitely their most impressive win. Honestly, their most impressive win as an ACC team, in my opinion. Like, that Miami looks really good on their resume. Yeah, there's that. They also beat up Louisville, yeah. Overall, though, I'm going to take SMU to win. 31% go with them as well. 69, nice percent go with Arizona. I think that'll be a good game, though. Moving on. Now we got the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is Wake Forest versus Mississippi State. This is the last bowl game, by the way, to predict. Wake Forest, they've been good this year. Much better than last year. They mirrored the record from last year. They went from 4-8 to 8-4. Much better team this year. Their best wins coming against SMU, who ended up being Miami right after that. What the heck is SMU on here? Am I blind? Okay, there you are. I'm blind. They had some weird losses. Like, they lost to NC State, Georgia Tech by 1 point. They also lost to Florida State. They got blown up by Florida State and Duke. That's probably Florida State's best game they played was against Alabama. But yeah, that was their best game they played was not against Alabama. So yeah, they also lost to Duke in the season. They've been a good team this year. They're taking on Mississippi State, and they're actually a favorite in this game, ironically. Mississippi State much better than last year. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it was 5-7 still, but they're 2-10 last year. They finally got a conference win. They won every single out of conference game, considering that Arizona State was in there. Like, that's their best win this year. They almost beat. They had some chances this year. They almost beat Tennessee and they lost to Tennessee and Texas in overtime. So nearly beat those teams. They also nearly beat Florida. Yeah, they've actually been a better team this year, I will say. I know they kind of lost a lot of games. See, they beat Arkansas. Arkansas beat themselves though. But Mississippi State, I think they'll have a bright future ahead of them. Overall, I'm actually going to say Mississippi State wins. 56% of those. I trust Mississippi State out of conference at this point. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. Next pick video will be the first part of the New Year's 6 bowl games. Yeah, anyway, see you on the next one. Peace.